You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast, the unofficial football podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me on socials at SamLittle44 and the podcast at Maple Footy Pod. And now there's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, welcome back to the Maple Footy Podcast. And yeah, big weekend in both leagues that we have been covering. The Canadian Premier League and the English Premier League. 2 Prems, 2 leagues. So we're gonna do what we kind of did last episode. I'm gonna do the Maple start, conclude that with a little Canadian Premier League recap, and then move into the Prem recap. Sounds good? I hope so. I have a lot of fun covering the CPL, so I hope you also enjoy. And if you're here for the English Premier League recap, then I hope that you do listen and stick around for the CPL recap, because I think it is a rather good league and it's good to support our Canadian boys. So why not? Starting out with the Maple start. So big shout outs to Sam Adekubi and Charlie Trafford, who have joined the Calgary Wild ownership group. That's the NSL team, of course, in Calgary. And I think it's massive because Sam Adekubi has had a great international career, of course, for Canada, a regular call-up as long as he's healthy, usually, and has had a very good club career as well, doing bits in Turkey, and then coming back here to Canada to now be a part of the Whitecaps, where he has enjoyed a lot of success as well. And Charlie Trafford, of course, who just recently announced his retirement from the pro game. He himself had a very good career as well. He was capped, I believe, 3 times for the Canadian men's national team, just recently hung up the boots with Calvary, where he just recently won the North Star Cup and as well scored in that massive win over Pumas in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So absolutely massive to kind of get those 2 names on board. I know they're not the first, and I would highly doubt they're the last of kind of the guys to kind of get involved. So it's really great to see the support, as we're talking about the guys kind of supporting the NSL in its week leading up to the debut of the NSL. Shout out to the entire TFC team who wore AFC Toronto merch on the way to the game. On when did TFC play? It was on the weekend, Saturday. On Saturday, the entire TFC team wore AFC Toronto merch. So just shout out. I think that's really great. It shows the support, and hopefully that support can kind of be replicated among the fan base, and that people do watch and enjoy the NSL. I have no doubts it'll be a very good time. Scotty Arfield, former Canadian men's international, has surpassed 100, gotten to 100 career goals. So shout out to Scotty Arfield. I always liked him. He was quite good for Canada in the caps that he had earned, and kind of like Adekubi and Charlie Trafford, has enjoyed a very good career. So yeah, 100 goals. Good for you. Good for you. Earlier in the week as well, the Whitecaps left it late in the Champions Cup as they grabbed a draw, but really a win as they advance to the semifinals. 3-3 on aggregate, but Whitecaps go through, I believe, on away goals. I'd assume that's how they go through because it was tied on aggregate. Great goal by Blackman, who's a center back, who you wouldn't know it if you watch that goal. That was a striker's finish. So I'd be curious if maybe he ever played striker at a youth level because it was a great goal. But yeah, so now they play Inter Miami, which is going to be a tough task, especially, given the state of Inter Miami. It'll be interesting. I would love to see Vancouver get into the final. I think it would be massive for them, and it would be massive for the team as they've enjoyed just a phenomenal start to the season. So yeah, hopefully we see it happen. I'd love to see it. But kind of moving away from the Whitecaps just for the time being, we're going to go to Europe for a little bit here. Kyle Larin got a goal against Real Sociedad, his 6th of the season, breaking a goal drought. Alistair Johnston got his 9th assist of the season for Celtic over the weekend. David Wotherspoon was back from injury and got a win in the Scottish League. Scott Kennedy, who I'm actually a fan of. I always like Scott Kennedy. He's just a no-nonsense center back. But, of course, our center back positions are rather clogged up. But he's definitely, I think he's a good card to be able to play, honestly. But he grabbed a goal in the Belgian Pro League for Eupen. I really hope I'm saying that correctly. Of course, I am not Belgian, so I apologize if that is not how you say that. Promise David got a goal against Anderlecht, who are one of the bigger clubs in Belgium, so that's massive. And, even better, was named March's Player of the Month in the Belgian league. So that's absolutely massive. He's having a breakout season. I would not be shocked if there are a lot of suitors for him come the summer because he has had an unreal season. That's 19 goals in all competitions this season. I would hope that come the Gold Cup and those friendlies before the Gold Cup that he gets some minutes because he definitely deserves it. I hope we don't do to him what we kind of did to Theo Bair, where Theo Bair had a phenomenal season last season and then we bring him for the Copa America and then he played like 10 minutes in the third place game. And then we saw Theo Bair like one more time, and now we haven't seen him since. So I really hope we don't do that to Promise David. Kind of in a similar boat, having a breakout season, having a ton of goals, getting a lot of recognition. So it would be a shame if we waste a guy's breakout season and don't capitalize on that. Mathieu Chouanier was a double sub at the weekend. He was subbed on in the 18th minute for Grasshoppers and subbed off in the 87th minute. They did win, so that's good. I'd be curious why he was subbed off. I don't know if they're managing his minutes, but when you're kind of subbed on, I know he was subbed on earlier in the game. Like, it's not like he was subbed on the 60th and was brought off in the 70th, you know? I didn't see any injury reports, so I'm going to knock on wood it's not injury. But speaking of injury, Tajon Buchanan is once again injured. They think it's a week-to-week thing with Villarreal, so really hope that is the case and that he's back because he was really starting to find his feet with Villarreal. You know, starting against Real Madrid, then he started a couple more games back-to-back, looked good, grabbed his first assist. I really hope it's nothing serious because at the moment it seems like he just can't catch a break. Like, it's a shame because we know how talented he is. Villarreal seems to like him, and he's only on loan, so it really would be a shame if this kind of hinders him going forward, potentially a permanent move, because I believe there was a buy option in the clause, but that I could be wrong about. But yeah, it would be a shame if Tajon Buchanan, you know, has another injury that kind of halts him just a tad. I hope that's not the case. But now moving into the MLS, TFC. Remember we just talked about them? We're in the AFC Toronto drip. They are still winless in 8 games, but it's another draw, so I guess that's kind of sort of positive. They've at least looked better in these last few games, which is good. I've liked that Flores has been given the start. I really do like him as a player, and he's looked good in the starts and minutes that he's gotten this season. So I'm very glad that they've kind of started going with him in the midfield. I think he's quite good. Glad that Theo Corbeanu is getting some minutes. Hasn't yet, I don't think, really fit in just yet, but you can see it. There's potential there. There is a player there. So definitely just kind of keep the patience, I think, honestly, because he's also coming into an environment that's, you know, not, I can't speak to the environment itself, but at least the team at the moment is not in full form. They're not looking the best. Like I said, they're looking better. So I'd be slow to judge Theo Corbeanu and any other kind of new signing that they've made, just because, you know, it's not the best right now at TFC. These guys have potential. We've seen, I mean, Theo Corbeanu has won the Young Player of the Year for Canada in the past, so I really think that we should kind of chill a little bit. I've been seeing a lot of online slander his way, so I would just kind of chill a little bit. I think he is, I have no doubts that he will put it together. Maybe it's not at TFC, but he will put it together, and I think he'll put it together very soon. So mark my words on that one. Minnesota, on the other hand, Dane St. Clair at least keeps a clean sheet. Tani Oluwaseyi was kept off of the score sheet. But then the day after, Dane St. Clair was actually spotted at the York United game. So that's good. He was with Jordan Hamilton as well. So is there maybe Jordan Hamilton going to York? I don't know. Maybe. maybe. That's just me spouting lies, I think. Just because Jordan Hamilton is at the moment without club, but he's a good player, and he knows the CPL, of course, having played the last 2 years with Forge. So maybe York is going to take a punt on him, or maybe he was just there watching the game with his buddy. We don't know. Vancouver Whitecaps continued their great week as they won in pretty convincing fashion. Brian White got 4 goals in one game. Ali Ahmed assisted on the last one, so that's good. That is quite good. 4 goals in one game is absolutely absurd. It's just showing how good I think Vancouver are at the moment. They look one of the best teams in the league. They're currently top of the table. They're pushing for that they're in the semifinal, pushing for a final, I suppose. Looking like probably the best team in Canada at the moment. And yeah, quite the good start to the season for the Whitecaps. I don't really have much more to say other than that, apart from, they're looking very friggin' good. But who's not looking good on the Canada side? Montreal. They lost their home opener. Not looking good. They're kind of in the same boat as TFC, winless after these 8 games. I think Montreal technically have the worst record as well. I think they've lost more than TFC. So not looking good. It's a shame because I think Montreal have some good young Canadian talent. Of course, the best Saliba in world football, Nathan Saliba. And then you have guys like Samuel Piette, who I've always liked, Sirois in goal. It's, I want to see Montreal do well because they are a Canadian club and they have a lot of young Canadian talent, but something just is not working at the moment. And they are going to need to put it together real quick if they want to salvage anything from this season. Moving into Portland, 4-2 over Kansas City. Pantemis with a couple massive saves. And I think that kind of brings up a question and a topic that I want to talk about real quick. What do we do about Maxime Crepeau? Pantemis is Canadian, and he is now the number 1 at Portland. Maxime Crepeau is the number 2 at Portland. Maxime Crepeau is, in my opinion, Canada's best goalkeeper, but he's not playing at club level. And if you're not playing at club level, it's going to be hard to, 1, get a call up to the national team, and 2, to be the number 1, especially when the guy at your club level is Canadian as well. And so if we call it Maxime Crepeau but don't call it Pantemis, why? It's one of those awkward conversations that I think we kind of got to have of where does Maxime Crepeau go? Does he wait for Pantemis to maybe drop form and Maxime Crepeau slots in? Does he, leave the club to go get some first team football? We know he's a phenomenal goalkeeper. We saw it at the Copa America, but it kind of just seems to be a string of bad luck for Maxime Crepeau. Even stretching all the way back to 2022 in the MLS Cup final, he breaks his leg to win the MLS Cup. I mean, he wins it at least, but then he missed out on the World Cup. Okay. He finally comes back, then gets shipped out to Portland because LAFC brings in Hugo Lloris. Maxime Crepeau looks like he's going to be the number 1 at Portland. Then he gets the call for Copa America. Phenomenal at Copa America. In my opinion, the best goalkeeper at the Copa America. Then during the Copa America, Pantemis kind of becomes the number 1 at Portland. Maxime Crepeau comes back from the Copa America, and then it's kind of just a hot potato between the two of who's going to be the number 1, and they kind of both take it, but kind of both don't. And then start of this season, Maxime Crepeau plays, I think, 1 or 2 games, picks up a knock. Pantemis is the goalkeeper, and that's what it's been. So it's very interesting, I think, with Maxime Crepeau. I love Crepeau. I think he is the best Canadian goalkeeper, but it's hard to justify him being our number 1 if he's not playing. And that is a real shame. So I don't know what the plan is for Maxime Crepeau going forward, but I just think it's interesting and also a shame. I mean, it's great that we have such Canadian talent in between the sticks. Pantemis, St. Clair, Crepeau, Sirois. And that's just off the top of my head. I know there is much, much more, but that's just off the top of my head. So Tom McGill, of course. So yeah, it's very interesting to me, and it's a shame that Maxime Crepeau just kind of seems to be one of the unluckiest goalkeepers I think that we've had. But let's kind of move away from the MLS action. Let's quickly do a CPL recap. So let's start with the first match of the weekend, Forge and Pacific. Forge traveling to Pacific. And Forge gets the win. Special shout out to Kato Lepavchuk, who grabbed his debut, his professional debut. Obviously, has been a guest on the podcast in the past, so just wanted to give him a special congratulations. That's absolutely massive. I hope it is the first of many. And yeah, it was very nice to see him get on. But overall, Forge just... It was a good back and forth game, I thought, but Ford showed their quality, I think, especially on those set pieces. Really exploited Pacific with Camden Kane getting his first goal for the club, his first professional goal as well. And then on the second one, the second goal, great ball in by Borges off the corner kick, and Antonio Janssen gets his first of the season. RIP his headband. He got a haircut. No more headband. Very upsetting. But yeah, I mean, Pacific didn't look like bad, like they looked quite good. I think Ford just showed their quality at moments more than Pacific did. Pacific also, I don't really think, challenged Kalelat all that much in net, which is a shame given that Pacific really showed last weekend that they had some great attacking talent. Like Ronan Krat looks like he could be a breakout star this season. Bustos, we of course already know his class. Then Josh Hurd, Zanata, that's a good attacking group. Even Kaden Chong as the right back was overlapping a lot, but yeah, just never really challenged Kalelat. And if you're not going to challenge the goalkeeper, it's going to be quite hard for you to obviously get some goals. And it was a good watch. It was a very good watch. I thought it was quite good. But yeah, I think the difference was Forge had those difference makers on the pitch, whereas Pacific they just didn't, But yeah, I think Forge now, I think they've kind of established themselves, I would say, as the front runners. I think as a lot of people probably thought that they would have been. But it's been a great start to the CPL season, by the way. Just as a side note, some absolutely phenomenal games, some great action. But yeah, the only thing for Forge I would say is you got to get Brian Wright his first goal. I think he's got to get that monkey off of his back, get him his first. We know that there's a quality player in there. I think you just got to get that monkey off his back, get him his goal, and I think everyone's happy. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's really my takeaway for Forge, honestly. Just get Brian Wright's first goal, and I think once he's got his first, I honestly think that's the monkey off his back. That's the go-ahead goal. I think you're going to see the best from after that. So yeah, I think Forge looks quite good, but I also think Pacific looks quite good. These were just two quality teams that had a little bit of difference on the day. Moving into the next match, York and Halifax. Another real close one. York, one of my teams to watch this season. And in that first half, they showed why. They were all attack, all gas, no brakes, baby. They looked very good. Reed looked quite good. I really like him and Yates as additions to this club. Of course, former Halifax men, so they'll be quite sad that they lost. Elijah Atakubi is quite good. I love Atakubi. Both Atakubi brothers. Ferrari, they looked very good. And then the second half, Halifax came out and Halifax was up for it. They were quite good. Telfer looked good. Probo looked real good. Rhea looked quite good. Their big players showed up when they needed them to. And then off the bench, Theo Coimbra gets his first goal with his first touch of the season and a yellow card, all in one singular passage of play. So if there was ever a way to make your mark in with your first touch of the game, I think it's that. Game winner as well, by the way. It wasn't just his first touch, first goal, first yellow card. It was also the game winner. So quite the way to introduce yourself in that game. But yeah, some big saves from both keepers. But once again, kind of like Forge and Pacific, just one team kind of just showed a little bit more quality in that final third than the other one. York looked at the better team in the first half, but didn't capitalize on their chances. Halifax came out the second half. I don't think York was expecting that. And Halifax kind of took the game by the scruff of the neck, locked in for better or worse, and went out and won the game. And yeah, I think that's it. Just a lesson that, when you don't at any level, whether it's House League, CPL, Champions League final, if you don't take your chances, it's going to bite you. And that's what happened here. And I think that's been an overarching theme in just the world of football recently. Teams aren't taking their chances and they don't win. crazy how that works. You know what I mean? But yeah, York, I still think is a very good team and a team to watch, I would say. But moving into my other team that I said to watch that could shock a lot of people, Vancouver had their home opener, and I can see why a lot of people predicted them to finish last. They just looked out of sorts on the day against Ottawa. They looked like they couldn't cope. They looked like they couldn't handle Ottawa. This was really the blowout of the weekend, I would say. Not even just scoreline-wise, because it was 4-1, but just play-wise. I think Ottawa was, for the most part, just all over Vancouver. I will not back down. I still say Vancouver pips a playoff spot. Mark my words, I do genuinely believe it's going to happen. Rough start to the season, yes, but I just think I've really liked some of the additions they've made. I have faith. I have faith. But also, big shout out to Terran Campbell, who grabbed his 40th, the first ever CPL player to hit 40 goals in the Canadian Premier League. So that is absolutely massive. Congratulations to him. I love Terran Campbell. In my opinion, one of the CPL GOATs, honestly. But yeah, David Rodriguez kind of ran the show in the first half. He grabbed a goal, grabbed an assist. Baulu Tabla made it 3-0 heading into halftime. Campbell came on at halftime, grabbed a goal, but it was too little too late. And then Monty Patterson grabbed the 4th for Ottawa. So yeah, not a whole ton to really say on this one. I just thought it was just Ottawa just really looked a very good team. Aparicio kind of ran the show in the midfield. Rodriguez, the young player, one of the signings of the offseason in these early days. Yeah. I still back Vancouver, but they will have to kind of get together real quick for me to keep that faith. But Ottawa, kind of like Forge, just kind of setting themselves as one of the contenders early on. Special shout out to Halifax as well. They've started this season a lot better than I thought they were going to start it. No disrespect. I didn't predict them to kind of get playoffs, and here they are. Of course, only 2 games in, but they've looked very good in these 2 games. So yeah, those are the games. Obviously, Cavalry and Valor did not play. Stick around for the end of the episode here, where I will put out my predictions for this match week coming up. So yeah, let's get into the Prem recap. That was a very long Maple Start / CPL recap, so you've stuck around for the Prem recap, so I do hope that it is worth the wait. I will preface this by saying I'm recording this before Bournemouth and Fulham, so I will obviously not be covering said game of Bournemouth and Fulham, but I'm sure that will be one to watch. I will not be able to watch it. I am working, but I hope it's a good game. Those 2 teams have been very entertaining to watch this season. Bournemouth, I think, will need a win in this one to keep any semblance of European hope alive. I would say they're kind of written off of Champions League, but Europa League or Europa Conference League, if they want any of that, I think they're really going to have to pull off a result here, just because these last few match weeks have not been ideal for the Cherries. But let's move into the match of the weekend. So yeah, if you are new to these, I go match of the weekend, biggest winners of the weekend, biggest underperformers, best performance, moment of the weekend, relegation zone, European places, and title race. So let's get into match of the weekend. Yeah, City and Palace, I would say 5-2. I mean, kind of hard not to say that. When Palace went 2-0 up, Palace are also known to be one of City's bogey team. They always seem to kind of get a result out of nowhere from Manchester City. And when they went 2-0 up within the first 21 minutes, I think a lot of people may have been thinking, oh my gosh, could they do it again? Like, obviously, City's a very good team, but 2-0, and we're only 21 minutes in. That's more time for Palace to maybe get... No. City scores in the 33rd and then the 36th to make it 2-2 at half, but still, maybe Palace grinds out the result. Maybe Palace grinds out something. No. Right after half, Mateo Kovacic scores in the 47th. Then James McAtee in the 56th. Ederson picking up the assist on that. So Ederson, I think, probably has more assists than most playmakers in the league this season. And then Nico O'Reilly grabs the 5th as the end of that. Yeah. Manchester City, despite a very up and down season, looks like they will be playing Champions League football next season. Wish I could say the same. Don't worry, you'll hear another Chelsea rant this episode, I'm sure, because I'm so done with this team. But anyways, back to City. Yeah, a great way to kind of. I mean, they went out in January, and I know people kind of shit on the fact that they went out and basically just signed all the best available players and spent, what was it, 250 million pounds. But that's what they do, one. And two, if you want to be serious, you have to make these adjustments when you can. And that's exactly what Manchester City did. They saw, hey, it's not working. A lot of our players are out of form. They're not looking good. Aging, maybe, certain players are on their way out. We got to make some signings. And they did. And it's worked. So we can all, we all definitely have our opinions on, the rapid spending of many clubs in the Premier League. But if it works, it's, I don't want to be like, if it works, it's okay. But if it works, it's working. It's working, and it has worked. And now they're going to be playing Champions League most likely next season, and probably back in the title race next season. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, for Crystal Palace, I mean, the result really doesn't mean anything to them. Their season's basically done. They're not getting relegated. They're not really pushing for Europe. So, that's that, really. That's one of your matches of the weekend. Yeah, so for Palace, like I said, not as big of a result. For Manchester City, a bit of a bigger result. Two more high-scoring affairs, if you will, for my other two matches of the weekend. Firstly, Wolves and Tottenham. Wolves are safe. They just are. They're safe. They are safe. Nori, shout out to him, got the fastest ever goal in Wolves history in the Premier League, so that's pretty massive. And then some injuries, though, for Wolves, which is not good. Bellegarde goes off in the 42nd, and Pablo Sarabia comes on for him. So that's not great, but I do think that Wolves have done enough to be safe and just hope that injury doesn't rule them out going into like next season kind of thing. Because now you're at that point in the season where any injury kind of picked up could potentially impact your start to next season. But Tottenham, I mean, they continue to be Tottenham this season. They just don't look good, really. Ange looks out of ideas. He looks like a man that kind of knows his time is up, if you know what I mean. He looks like he kind of knows that phone call's coming, that he's no longer the manager of Tottenham Hotspur. I could be wrong, and I never wish for someone to lose their job, of course. So I hope that's not the case for his sake. But he just doesn't look like a man filled with confidence or anything like that. Yeah, it's just been a bad season overall for Tottenham, hasn't it? And I think that this kind of shows that they struggled against one of the relegation guys in Wolves. And if it wasn't for the bottom three being so bad this year, you could have genuinely seen a relegation battle between like Wolves, West Ham, Everton, Tottenham, and Manchester United. That would have been insane, by the way. That's crazy. But alas, they had three teams that were just so much worse than them. But yeah, it's a shame for Tottenham fans, because I just look, I'm like, what is the plan? What are they trying to do? What is the move going forward? I don't think the higher-ups know. I don't think the players know. I don't think the manager knows. I don't think anybody knows. But yeah, we'll kind of move away from Tottenham talk at the moment. We'll move into United talk, because it was the United derby, if that's a thing. Newcastle against Manchester United. Newcastle just blew them away. Newcastle, I think, will be one of the teams that gets a Champions League spot. There are now 5 spots. Yeah, I think Newcastle's got it, honestly. This 4-1 was kind of a gauntlet thrown. Is that the saying? I think that's the saying. Something like that. And I think it's showing that Newcastle, they're not finished with the Carabao Cup. They're coming for a return to Champions League after, was it last season they were in it or the season before? I don't know. A couple, in the last few seasons, they were in it. And yeah, I mean, also, quick side note, I hope Eddie Howe is okay. I saw that he fell ill and is now in the hospital. So I do hope that it's nothing. Obviously, if you're in a hospital, it's quite serious, but I hope it's nothing like terrible, I should say. So hopefully he is okay. All thoughts are with him, of course. So I do hope that he will be okay and a very quick recovery to him. But back to the game. yeah, Newcastle just blew them away. United pulls one back to make it 1-1 at a certain point, and then Newcastle just goes, okay, and then just absolutely tore them apart. Once again, kind of same for United as I said for Tottenham. They just don't look good. They don't look inspired. The coach, same with Ange, doesn't look like he knows what to do. Looks kind of lost for ideas, and yeah, it's just not a good time for United or Tottenham, I would say. Don't worry, you're probably saying, oh my gosh, he's protecting Chelsea. Don't worry, it's coming. The rant is coming. But let's move into the biggest winners of the weekend. So, of course, I think we have to go with Liverpool. Whilst they didn't look great against West Ham in that second half, West Ham probably is a bit hard done by not to get points here. And I feel like I said that a lot about Liverpool opposition. And I could be in the minority here. Liverpool just have not screamed great this year. They have screamed great results this year. They haven't really impressed me, and that's kind of crazy given the fact that they're most likely going to win the Premier League. I think that's also an indictment on the league at the moment. I just don't think it's I don't want to say the quality's not there, because the quality is there, but I just don't think it's the highest quality that we've ever seen. I think it's kind of a lull period for the Prem, if you will. But yeah, regardless, Liverpool, credit to them. I do think they looked very good in the first half. Like, I do genuinely think they did. But then the second half, foot was off the gas. West Ham pulls one back through a terrible own goal. But let's be honest, West Ham deserved that goal. If it wasn't for some Alisson heroics, West Ham probably walks away bare minimum with a point in this one. But it's a terrible goal, technically from Andy Robertson, but it was on Virgil van Dijk. And then Liverpool carves it out from Virgil van Dijk. A header from a corner, and he carves it out, kisses the badge. I think that, of course, there's been reports of him signing a new contract. I do think that is basically him confirming he is staying with Liverpool and will be signing that contract sometime in the near future, if it hasn't already been signed, and it just isn't public yet, because I know there have been many reports saying that it's done. It's just a matter of being announced kind of thing. So I think that was him kind of announcing it, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean, Liverpool kind of story of their season. They look great in spurts, they look not great in spurts, and they win. And that's that. I was saying at the start of the season, I'll be interested to see, champions always carve out results when they don't deserve it, but they don't do it every single game where it's like, maybe they shouldn't have won that. And here they are, still about, what was this, match week 32, and still maybe a handful of performances where I've went, that was a convincing Liverpool performance. That was a convincing one. Yeah, but it looks like it's going to be enough. It looks like it is going to be enough. Moving into another biggest winner. Sorry, I forgot what segment we were on. Another biggest winner here. I'm kind of just going to lump these two together. Newcastle for, of course, that massive win over Manchester United. And like I said, I think it's a gauntlet thrown. They see that the fifth spot is now up for grabs, and it's already tight as heck up in the European race. And I think Newcastle's like, well, we have a genuine shot at Champions League, even if we get fifth place. So screw it. Let's go for this. And I'm lumping them in with Aston Villa. Of course, Aston Villa played bottom boys Southampton, but Aston Villa, kind of like Newcastle, are chasing one of those European spots, and they look like they're going to be making it a little bit interesting, because yeah, they wow. It's just, I'm looking at the league table, and it really is just so tight up there. But they, of course, it wasn't easy for them. It was not easy. West Ham, Southampton made it quite difficult, but eventually Aston Villa found the breakthrough. Marco Asensio missed a penalty in the 69th, but then the 73rd, Watkins grabs one, and then Malin grabs another in the 79th, and Morgan Rogers assisted that, by the way. Morgan Rogers season, absolutely. In the 94th, Marco Asensio missed another penalty, so credit to him for stepping up for another one. I assume that will be his last one of the season, though. And then John McGinn turned in the rebound kind of thing. So 3-0, and it's, once again, as I've been saying, the gauntlet thrown. I do hope that is a saying, by the way, and I'm not just saying this made-up saying, but that is a gauntlet thrown by Villa and Newcastle. Villa are now 54 points, tied on points with Chelsea, who are in 6th, and just 2 points behind West Ham, 3 points behind Nottingham Forest. Why do I keep saying West Ham? Why do I keep West Ham's on my mind, I guess. 2 points behind Newcastle, 3 points behind Nottingham Forest. So yeah, it's very close up there. And I'll kind of, when I get to the underperformers, I'll look at everyone's schedule here, just because once I talk about underperformance, I'm going to be talking about Chelsea. Spoiler alert. But yeah, so we'll kind of leave the schedule and we'll kind of plan out who can kind of get what. So biggest underwhelmers. I mean, I've already spoiled who it is, so I'll quickly get some other ones out the way. Tottenham, you're always in here. United, you're always in here. Should I just add Bournemouth retroactively, because I think that they might not get something from Fulham. I won't do that to Bournemouth. I do quite like Bournemouth. So those are some of my underwhelmers of the weekend. But the real underwhelmer here is Chelsea. Chelsea. 2 games against Ipswich. Do you want to know how many wins against Ipswich? Keep in mind, Ipswich are second last in the league. Yeah, 0. 0 wins against Ipswich this season. Are we for real? This was the easiest game in this run of games coming up for Chelsea. And I know I said I'd talk about the schedule, so let's talk about Chelsea's schedule for the last little bit of this season, because it's not good. It's not easy at all. So let's run through this puppy. So of course you got Europa Conference League. By the way, don't piss me off with Europa Conference League, by the way. We've rested Reece James now for multiple games because Enzo Maresca keeps saying, we're resting, we're managing his minutes because, we got big games coming up. Where is that big game? Where is the big game? He hasn't played. The captain of the football club has not friggin' played. Okay, he played against Brentford where you got a 0-0 draw. Great management, that. And then he played in the Conference League where you got a 3-0 win where, of course you got a 3-0 win. That's expected. If Chelsea don't sleepwalk this trophy, that's nothing but an absolute failure. It's an embarrassment that Chelsea's even in the competition. And what's even more embarrassing is if Chelsea misses out on Champions League football when 5 teams get it this season. That is a quarter of the league. And if Chelsea misses that, I honestly blow the entire project up. It's not working. What's the process? What's the project? Anyways, let's look at Chelsea's Premier League run of games. They have Fulham next weekend, so that'll be good. Then they have Everton, who's in fine form. Then they have Liverpool the weekend after that. A Liverpool who, by the way, could be playing to clinch the league title. And if Liverpool Football Club clinches the league title at Stamford Bridge, honestly, retire. Just retire. Every one of them. Retire. Just retire. We cannot be in the history books for another team's title win and being on the negative side of that, because we've helped teams clinch titles before. Of course, Leicester, that Ian Hazard goal. Liverpool themselves when we beat Manchester City in 2020. Chelsea seems to have a hand in ensuring some teams win a Premier League title. Make sure that's not the case for this game, because oh boy, if we miss out on Champions League and we don't win Europa Conference League, and we're also the team that Liverpool officially clinched the league title against, oh, you got to be kidding me. And then, okay, after Liverpool, you have Newcastle, who will also be in the top 5 race, so that's great. And they're in great form right now, so that's splendid. Then you have Manchester United after that, who seem to be one of Chelsea's bogey teams. Chelsea just never seems to defeat them. I know we did last season in that iconic 4-3 game where Cole Palmer got a hat trick. And then you have Forest on last day of the season, who by then our season could be done anyway, so we may not even be playing to try and get into Champions League. But Forest might be. So even if we are still playing to get into Champions League, Nottingham Forest also might be playing to get into Champions League. So that's phenomenal. Thank you to the manager. Thank you to the higher-ups for absolutely shitting all over this season. Top 4 looked not a foregone conclusion in December, but looked like it was like, okay, this is going to take a pretty big mess-up job to not get this. Guess what? They hit the mess-up job. Even if we do get top 4 or 5, by the way, even if we do get it, that doesn't retroactively change the absolutely abhorrent football that has been played since December for Chelsea, because since December, we've looked one of the worst teams in the league. And that, you may say, oh, that's a bit dramatic. It's not. If you watch Chelsea, they don't look a team that should be anywhere near European European places. We're just lucky that this has been an off season for the Premier League, where really nobody's really snatched the chain and has really gone for it outside of Liverpool. And that's it. Like, if this was like all teams were in quite good form, like, your Manchester Cities, even Tottenham United weren't as bad as they are this season, I think you're looking at a mid-table Chelsea. Like 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe. Like, Villa has had a good season. Bournemouth has had a good season. But, they've been up and down quite a lot. Forest has been up and down a little bit. City themselves has been up and down. So that's really helped Chelsea, I would say. But at least those guys feel like they have a plan in some direction. What is the plan and direction for Chelsea Football Club? You have a manager who's actively throwing players under the bus to prop up his other players. And then is also basically in the same breath telling his players, you're not good enough anyways. We're not expected to be in the title race. And is it a coincidence that all that talk was happening in around December, and since December Chelsea has not looked the same team? It's almost like your manager telling you you're not good enough publicly and being like, you're not in the title race, may actually play a part to these players. I don't know. That's just me though. But yeah, so thanks Chelsea for ruining another Saturday. Or when did they play? Was it Sunday? I don't know. Whatever day of the weekend you played, thanks for ruining that day. Of course, I will still back you and pray that you finish in the top 5, but I really don't have much hope. I'm looking at these games, and I struggle to see us getting like more than 3 points from this, genuinely. And I'm not even kidding. We may pip like Fulham, maybe Everton, but Everton's real hard to play. We're not getting shit against Liverpool. Most likely not getting nothing against Newcastle. Maybe a draw against United, and I doubt we get anything against Forest. So splendid. Another season of Thursday nights, most likely. This is Chelsea Football Club, one of the most successful clubs of this century. And these guys overtook them, and in 3 years have totally destroyed this club. Thank you so much. And I'm not even blaming their like recruitment, because honestly, these players that we've recruited have shown that they're good elsewhere. Jadon Sancho has shown that he's good at Dortmund. Pedro Neto has shown that he's good at Wolves. Nicholas Jackson was good at Villarreal. I mean, in all fairness, Nicholas Jackson has been pretty good for Chelsea, just had a bad injury this year. And Kunku showed that he's good at Leipzig, and the list goes on and on. Wesley Fofana, Badiashile, Colwell. I know Colwell is Chelsea product, but he has not looked the same player that he was when he was on loan at Brighton. The list goes on. The only guys that have looked consistently good this season have been Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Marc Cucurella. Everybody else has gone through highs and lows, most lows. But those three have at least consistently been very good this season. And without them, I have no idea where we'd be. Like, even Cole Palmer hasn't looked the same player. He's had some great highs this season, absolutely. But the longer that he's been under Enzo Maresca, he's looked worse. And that's not good, given that he was our best player last year and one of the best players in the league. And this season you're going, yeah, he's been good, but he hasn't been phenomenal. And I understand there was always going to be a drop-off from his numbers that he got last season. But there's times he doesn't even look the same player, like just play-wise. Because one of the great things about Cole Palmer last season was his play was so good. Like, his stats were unreal, but his play was great too. This season, it's like not. His play's not the best. He's not bad, but he's not phenomenal. And I don't know. I don't want to blame the manager, because how many times can we blame the manager? But what are we doing here? What are we doing? From the managers to higher ups, what are we doing? Like, seriously. It's annoying. Anyways, I'll move away from the Chelsea rant, I suppose. That's like, what, my 12th one this season? I don't think it's been 12. I think that's a bit dramatic. Anyways, let's move into best performance. I'm actually going to go with a handful of goalkeepers. I'm going to stick with Chelsea. I'm going to go to the Ipswich goalkeeper because he was great. Talking of a Palmer, let's talk about this Palmer. What's his name? Alex Palmer? Yes, Alex Palmer. I just didn't want to mix him up with Cole. I mean, add him to the list of keepers that just decide to have their best game of the season against Chelsea. It just seems to be a running theme. But credit to him, he was phenomenal. he was saving a lot, and as a goalkeeper, that's your job. So yeah, shout out to him. Although, yeah, he let in two. One was an own goal and one was an absolute beauty from Jadon Sancho. So I don't think any goalkeeper in the world is stopping really either of those. So yeah, he was quite good on the day. Moving into another goalkeeper who I thought saved his team from a loss. Alisson Becker, I thought he was phenomenal. Made some absolutely vital saves. He's not getting a lot of the praise I haven't seen, at least. But yeah, Alisson Becker was great. Genuinely, he bailed Liverpool out as he tends to usually do. He was great, just genuinely making so many great saves, showing that on his day, on most days, he's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. Of course, he's kind of been injury riddled this season, so I don't think he's going to be up for any individual accolades, but truly, I think he is probably the best goalkeeper in the league, potentially, most likely, let's be honest, the world as well. He was very good. Another Liverpool player as well, Alexis McAllister, my opinion, been one of the players of the season, been, in my opinion, Liverpool's player of the season. Sam, that's crazy to say. Mohamed Salah has 45 goals and assists. I know. But I genuinely just think Alexis McAllister has been genuinely unreal for Liverpool this season. If you've watched him a lot, like I have, what he does on the ball, what he does in spaces, the way that he moves the ball around the pitch, controlling the tempo of the game whilst also contributing both defensively and in the attack. He's playing the position of a central midfielder as it should be played. He's been unreal this season. And honestly, player of the season shout? Like, not even just Liverpool, like league-wise. I know he won't get it. I do think the award's probably going to go to Salah because name recognition as well as the goals and assists he's racked up. But just as a player, I think not many have been close to Alexis McAllister. He's been great. It's been a great season for central midfielders, in all fairness. We all know I've waxed lyrical about Moise Caicedo, who is another one that I would genuinely put out there as a player of the year, not just for club, but also for the league. But yeah, those are some of my performances of the weekend. Moment of the weekend, I will stick with Liverpool and I will go with Mohamed Salah. His assist made him the highest goal/assist getter in a 38 Premier League game season. That is 45 goals and assists all season, and that is, we can say what we like. I know I'm a pretty big critic of Mohamed Salah. I never have once ever debated how great he is in front of the net, whether it's to provide an assist or provide a goal. And yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he gets 45 in a season. He knows where the net is. He just does. It was a great ball. I don't know if the ball was intended for Diaz or Jota. I'm sure he will tell you it was for Diaz, as I would too if I was Mohamed Salah. It was a very good ball regardless, evading the West Ham defense, and he pops it in. Diaz pops it in. And yeah, so it's got to be a moment of the weekend just because that was history in the league. Another big historic moment, I would say, for a club was Wolves getting their quickest goal in Premier League history. So that was absolutely massive. And just them getting a win was massive. This isn't, of course, really a moment, but the fact that City turned around a 2-0 deficit to win 5-2 is kind of absurd, and you don't really see that every day. And I know people go, oh, well, it's Manchester City. Yeah, but you still don't see that every day. Even when they've been 2-0 down before, like, how many times they turn it around and make it 5? Like 5-2. Like, not even like a 2-2 draw or 3-2 win. Like, no, they went 2-0 down and they took it personally, and they went out and got 5. Oh my gosh, I wish. We'll move into the relegation zone now. I mean, as I kind of said last episode, Southampton literally are confirmed. They're going down. Did the Wolves result confirm Leicester? I could have sworn I heard someone say that was true, but I could be wrong and could just be making that up. But Leicester are like they're down as well. You know what I mean? Like they're done. Ipswich are also down. They did get a big point and a win last week and a point here this weekend. But I think it's just a case of too little, too late. Honestly, just above them, who are in no jeopardy at all, are like West Ham, Wolves, Tottenham, United, Everton. All those guys are above them, but like they're all well above them. Like it's not oh, they're only 4 points. No, like they're all safe. The closest team to relegation are both Wolves and West Ham. Just goal difference kind of separates those two, and they're 14 points clear of Ipswich. So, yeah, that's kind of your relegation zone. Let's move into Europe because it is still probably the most exciting thing I would say to watch for the remainder of this season because I think it still is kind of unpredictable. I'm going to kind of lay it out here. Teams that are kind of looking at Europa League and Europa Conference League, genuinely, basically anybody that's not in relegation, really. You have Fulham, Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford, Palace, Everton. Everton's a stretch. We'll stick it with Palace, even though some of those are still a bit of a stretch. You could still see Bournemouth and Brighton, I think, making a charge. And Fulham, I don't think that you're going to really see Brentford or Palace make a charge, but you might. But those ones I would say are kind of maybe look at them for Europa Conference League, maybe Europa League. Then in 7th is Villa. This is where it's really congested. From 3rd to 7th, there is 3 points separating it. So you got Villa in 7th on 54, Chelsea in 6th on 54, City in 5th on 55, Newcastle in 4th on 56, and Forest in 3rd on 57th. And Newcastle, by the way, have a game in hand. Yikes. Yeah, that's very congested. So let's kind of look at Villa's schedule for the last little bit of the season real quick. We'll kind of just look at what we can feasibly see them getting. You have Newcastle, so that's a must win. You have Villa actually don't have an easy schedule either. That could be interesting. They have Newcastle, then City, then Fulham, then Bournemouth, then Tottenham and United. That is not an easy run at all. Oh, wow. I did not realize that. That's going to be tough. That could be tough. I think that you could see Villa maybe not get those top 5 spots. Ooh, I did not know that. That's wild. We already looked at Chelsea, so I'm not going to look at it again. Then you have Manchester City, who I think will be getting into this top 5. You got Everton, Villa, of course, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Fulham. I think that's doable. You got, let's go to Newcastle. You got Palace next, then Villa, of course. Villa has been name dropped a lot. Then Ipswich, Brighton, Arsenal, Everton. That's also quite doable, I would say. Sorry, they also have Chelsea in there as well, right before Arsenal. That's quite doable as well, but that's not easy. I think Palace gives them a run. I think Villa, of course, gives them a run. Ipswich, they should be good. Brighton gives them a run. Chelsea, probably not. Arsenal gives them a run, and I think Everton gives them a run too. That's interesting. Then we'll look at Nottingham Forest last. And they've got Tottenham next, City, Brentford, Palace, Leicester, West Ham, Chelsea. I think that's a doable schedule as well. So, yeah, I think the guys actually in 3rd, 4th, and 5th have the not easiest schedule, but I think most doable schedule. I think that's quite the doable schedule for those guys. Oh, man. Yeah, sorry, Chelsea and Villa. You guys did not draw. You guys drew the short straw. Oh, man. That's a tough way to end the season with those teams. And then, of course, title race. Arsenal, we're just putting them in here, I guess, just because if anybody's going to pull off an upset, it will be Arsenal. So Arsenal's in 2nd. And then Liverpool's in 1st, and as I've been saying the last few episodes, they're the champions without having the crown just yet. I find it hard to believe that they mess it up from here. I really don't see it happening. Arsenal, I think it's just too big of a hill to climb for them at this moment in the season, and I think right now all eyes for them are on Champions League after that 3-0 demolition of Real Madrid. I think now they're going to the Bernabeu, just going, all right, guys, let's keep this. I think that you're going to see some abhorrent tactics from Mikel Arteta where he's going to line up with like 10 center backs. So it'll be an interesting match, I think, and that'll be tough. But yeah, so in a sense, I think that Arsenal's eyes are on Champions League now, and Liverpool's eyes are on the Premier League. So that's kind of how I see the rest of the season shaping out. We'll see what happens, of course. I'll be covering it until the end. And as promised, I will now put out my CPL predictions for this week. Let us cook. Let me cook. Cavalry and Vancouver. Sam, you are a madman if you say Vancouver are getting something from this game. Guess what? 2-2. I'm saying it. Vancouver. Please prove me right here. 2-2 against Cavalry. Then on the Saturday, you got 3 games to watch if you would like to. Atletico Ottawa and York. My head is telling me Ottawa, but my heart is telling me York. I'm not going to go with another draw. I will say, Atletico Ottawa 3-2. I'm sorry, York. Halifax and Pacific. Halifax have really impressed me so far, but so have Pacific. I'm going to go Halifax. Oh, I'm sorry, Pacific. I've been very impressed by them, though, so far. I'm going to go 2-1. I think all the games will be close this season, this match day, except for this one. I do think Forge will take care of Valor comfortably enough. I'm going to go 3-0. Yeah, I'm comfortable with those predictions. And yeah, also, big news, NSL starts this week. So definitely watch that. Vancouver and Calgary will be the first ever NSL game. So that is absolutely massive. Do tune into that. I would love to do predictions for this. Haven't seen anything just yet. Screw it, why not? We'll go Vancouver will win the first ever NSL game. I'll go, 3-1. Why not? AFC Toronto, against Montreal Roses FC. We'll go through 2-2. Why not? Ottawa and Halifax will not be playing this weekend. Halifax's first game will be April 26th, and Ottawa's first game will be April 27th. Tune in for those games if you can, of course. And yeah, I'm sure it'll be very good. They have done a great job, I think, of hyping this up and building it up, getting some very quality players. I would say I will be interested to see how they all gel together, just obviously as that's how teams work. But yeah, I'll be very interested to see what happens. So definitely tune into those. And quickly, before I go, I've already kept you for almost an hour now. Before I go, there will be another interview coming up on Thursday. Definitely stick around for that. He is another Forge player, has been with Forge for a few years. That's all I'm going to give you. I won't say it until it's announced. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that. I'm very excited about that one. I will say I have a list of players that I want to interview, and he was on that list. So it was genuinely an absolute pleasure to get to do it. And yeah, I will leave it at that final. That's zipped. Zip your lips, Sam. That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, stick around for that. And until next time, thank you for listening. Of course, I do appreciate it. This has been an extra lengthy one. Of course, covering 2 leagues essentially is going to naturally be quite lengthy. But yeah, stick around for Thursday and of course any other CPL and NSL news and any other Canadian news. And yeah, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And of course, until next time, cheers everyone.
And that was your Maple Footy podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates. Remember to support Canadian football, be kind, and until next time, live, laugh, little.